afternoon, friends, and welcome to the Rotary Club of Milwaukee Thursday Snack. I think most of you who are here know that what we do on Thursday is we have an informal program that usually focuses on a member of Rotary or an organization connected to Rotary. And today we are really thrilled to welcome Sebastian May, the Chief Marketing and Development Officer of Milwaukee Film. And as you can imagine, with a job title like that, he's pretty busy this time of year, getting ready for the second festival that they are presenting this fall. And so I'm going to quickly turn the program over to Sebastian so we can get started. Thank you, Sebastian.
Thank you so much, Mary. Thank you, everybody, the millions of people around the world watching. I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me. I want to make sure that I get my screen share up right away so that we can get that over with and make sure that that's functioning properly. I think everybody, we're good, right? Beautiful. Okay. I was giving Mary and company a little bit of a preview prior to starting out this presentation, talking about the artwork on our for our festival this year. It's a local artist named Jade Watring. She is a MIAD graduate. Every year we put out a call for art from local artists, and Jade was the one who won this year. And the theme that we gave her back prior to the pandemic was transformation. So that's the artwork that was created. And boy, did we had no idea what kind of transformation was in store for us. But I just wanted to highlight that before I jumped in. Let's see if I can get this to forward and we'll be in business. Before I talk about this year's festival, I wanted to backtrack a little bit and kind of give you a look back at what's been happening at Milwaukee Film since the onset of the pandemic. Obviously, this is not a great time for movie theaters, and it's not a great time for a lot of us. But on Friday, the 13th of March, a hard day to forget, we were one of the first arts organizations in Milwaukee to close our doors due to the outbreak of COVID-19. It had hit Milwaukee earlier that week, and we had a pretty serious debate that Friday. I remember with our board chair and our leadership team, we were thinking, should we close for 2 weeks or should we close for 4 weeks? Boy, wouldn't that have been nice if we could have just been closed for 2 to 4 weeks? The Oriental Theater remains closed until to this day, and Milwaukee Film's offices are pretty much closed as well. The staff has been working remote. We did, try to make lemonade out of lemons, and we moved forward with some major construction at the Oriental Theater, which we had been slated to do anyway. We raised a lot of money. We raised $6 million in a capital campaign last year that was specifically dedicated to renovating the historic Oriental Theater. And taking advantage of this forced closure means that we can do a lot of updates to the theater while we are unable to have it open to guests anyway. So once we are able to open those doors back up, you will see new seats throughout the theater. You will see new improved sound, better sight lines, cool. The mural of the ceiling was uncovered and repainted. All the plaster was repaired. It's been a remarkable transformation inside the theater. So we are excited for the opportunity to open those doors up again once we're able to. But obviously this was a period of uncertainty. How do we fulfill our mission with the theater doors closed? How do we fulfill our mission to educate, entertain, and engage our community when we don't have a theater? And we looked around and took a look at what was happening with other independent cinemas throughout the country. And one of the things that we found to our joy was that independent film distributors were actually working directly with theaters like ours to distribute films. They didn't choose to go straight to Netflix or Hulu or HBO. They instead continued with that distribution method. And instead of obviously having it at a theater, they gave us a link for our customers to be able to watch that link from the comfort of their own homes. That's huge for us because it allows us to keep bringing highly curated, amazing content directly to you from Milwaukee Film. I think that's one of the advantages, obviously, of being a film organization is that pivot to virtual wasn't that hard for us, and it continues to this day. I'll talk a little bit more in detail about all the different ways you consume Milwaukee Film content later on in the presentation. In May, we secured a PPP loan then that would carry us through June 30th. So that March to July period was sort of, how do we do this? Just making sure that we can kind of get our feet under ourselves and steady ourselves. Once that PPP loan expired on June 30th, we had some tough decisions to make, as have most organizations throughout Milwaukee. And we did have to end up cutting several staff members, 4 full-time and several more part-time, eventually had to furlough the entire theater staff as well. So, our operating budget was reduced by about 50%, and we had a smaller staff. None of that was fun. But what that period after July 4th allowed us to do is we had to do staff reductions on June 30th. We came back after the July 4th holiday, and then we were like, okay, well, now we know who our team is. We know how we're moving forward, and we know that we have 2 festivals coming up this fall. And by the way, there's 2 festivals this fall, not just one, and we've got to get moving. So we had the Minority Health Film Festival that last year that debuted as a 4-day in-person film festival and health resource fair. This year went to 15 days from September 10th through 24th. We talked a little bit about that and had a snack program with some of our Minority Health Film Festival folks last month. And then the Milwaukee Film Festival is coming up next Thursday. It starts October 15th at 4 p.m. Your movies will not be available before 4 p.m. And that runs another 15 days all the way through October 29th. As you can see, the 24th and the 15th, there's not even a month in between to get those things worked out. So as Mary mentioned, I have been very, very busy, but we're excited about the opportunities that we've had, and we're making it happen. We have other things that we're doing as well. We're trying out some new business models and things that have been gaining some traction for us. These hosted film and talkback sessions that we've been having both throughout the Minority Health Film Festival and afterward, that have been working with corporate partners, mainly focusing on issues of equity, diversity, and inclusion. Those have been entirely amazing and successful. Playing a film, having a curated discussion with a specific audience for a corporate partner about these kinds of issues is amazing, because it's the combination of art and community that we seek to do at Milwaukee Film. I really love it. We're also working with St. John's on the Lake right now. We are screening a film a week for 10 weeks, and then having hosted Q&As with their residents at 7 p.m. on Wednesdays. So these are the kinds of things, whether it's a fun engagement like St. John's, or it's a more serious thing like the equity, diversity, and inclusion programs that we're doing with some corporate partners, that are allowing us to keep exploring new ways of doing business and making an impact in our community. And then Sofa Cinema remains. It has continued to engage audiences via the Milwaukee Film Programming team, and that keeps us in front of mind for people when we're not actually throwing festivals. So that is ongoing. I mentioned already the Minority Health Film Festival. This was the 2nd annual this year. It's unlike anything that we are aware of around the globe, bringing together issues of health and art in this kind of way. This year's festival had 50 films, dozens and dozens of panels, Q&As, and related events. And we think this is highly topical right now for 2 main reasons. Number one, COVID is having an outsized impact on communities of color. It has wrought devastation in those communities, and we wanted to be able to highlight that. And secondly, since the murder of George Floyd and the unrest that's been happening in terms of racial issues across the country and continue to this day, we want to be able to spur dialogue and have discussions about these issues. We think that it's important for people to be able to consume these films and then have intelligent conversations, because if we're not communicating and talking to each other and listening to diverse perspectives, we're failing. That's one of the reasons I love being a part of Rotary, because we get to hear a lot from very different perspectives of people. Like I said, the Minority Health Film Festival expanded from 4 days to 15. And one of the other beautiful things about this pivot to virtual that we've been forced to do based on the pandemic is that we are able to reach much broader audiences. Most of the films that we have are available from coast to coast. There are a few that are geo-restricted to Wisconsin only, but we have new audiences to access. Additionally, costs are significantly lower. A pass to the Minority Health Film Festival for a Milwaukee film member was only $20 this year. For $20, you could watch every film and every panel, 50 films and every panel. I can't do the math, but that's less than $1 a film. So that was fantastic. And same with the Milwaukee Film Festival. Passes this year for Milwaukee film members are only $75 for nearly 200 films. And I'll talk about that next. It says we'll feature 197 films this year. We actually lost one, so it's 196. But regardless, that's a lot of movies over the course of 15 days. If your couch doesn't have one of those sort of wedges in it by now from where you've been sitting, it will by the end of the festival, I'm sure. This year's festival is 100% virtual, and we are showing the best feature narratives, documentaries, and short films from around the globe, much as we would in any other year. Obvious differences are you don't have to fight for parking on the east side. You don't have to figure out what your schedule is because everything is just going to be available for the entirety of the festival, and you can watch things as much as you want. We're also expecting people to explore things that they might not otherwise watch, because if you're on your couch, it's easy to just play, 15 minutes of a thing and figure out whether or not you like it, as opposed to going to a theater and thinking, well, that was a waste of my time and effort. So there are advantages to this. Of course, your popcorn will never be as good as ours. So I apologize, but that's your fault, not mine. And it's not the same as being in a packed theater, obviously, with all those folks together enjoying film, but we are making do with what we have, and that's what we got to do. As I mentioned, the majority of films will be available starting at 4 p.m. on October 15th. Almost every film will be available for the entirety of the festival. We're also creating community in a couple of different ways. The main one is that we're holding a nightly talk show called The Nightcap. It will be at 8 o'clock every single night during the festival, and it will be featuring Milwaukee film staff having conversations with actors, with directors, with producers, with all sorts of great people that are coming in for the festival virtually. And again, right to your couch, right to your home, those discussions will be happening. And we will also still have our super secret members only screening. If you are not a Milwaukee film member, this is one of the coolest things that we offer. Last year during the festival, we played the film The Two Popes, and it was so good. And it's really just exciting to pop into a packed house and have no idea what you're going to see. This year, I actually don't even know what the title is. It's that secret, and that's the truth. I got to get on that. I got to figure that out. But anyway, the super secret members only screening is a lot of fun each year. So one of the joys and one of the difficulties about having a virtual festival is that there are so many different ways to consume it that it's a little bit hard to tell people all of those different ways. So we've come up with some clever ways to go about trying to figure out this problem. The first one is mkefilm.org/festival quiz. This is basically a choose your own adventure. If you go on to that link, you will see what device would I like to watch on, and it'll give you the option of television, a tablet, or a phone. You click the button of the device of your choice, and you'll get another set of choices. For TVs this year, one of the things that we're super excited about is if you have a Roku, an Apple TV, an Amazon Fire TV, or an Android TV, if those are connected to your television, there is a Milwaukee Film app within those apps. You can search for it in your Roku, search for it in your Apple TV, and download it directly onto your television. So then you can consume films right from your television without even plugging an HDMI cord in or anything like that. It makes a beautiful and seamless user experience. You don't have to worry about buffering and all that stuff that can happen sometimes when you're trying to stream films online. So we're really excited about that Milwaukee Film app on all those different devices. Once again, it's a Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, and Amazon Fire TV. So those are the 4 apps that we will be able to download the Milwaukee Film app onto. We also have mkefilm.org/howtofest, which is a much broader resource. It reminds you when the films are available, all the different devices you can watch content on. It talks about the events that we're having. It talks about, all the different things that are happening across the festival. There's even a PDF of the entire film guide on the website right now that's available. You could print it at home if you like. We are doing a limited number of printed film guides this year. We didn't have the resources to go ahead and print 40,000 copies and distribute those like we would in a normal year. Instead, we're doing 1,000 copies. We have very limited distribution on those. Or you can do like me and print at home, and you can take notes on it, and it's great. Much easier and much cheaper for us. So that's an option for you as well. Finally, mkefilm.org/help. If you're having specific questions, this is a very robust FAQ section on our website that will hopefully allow you to get some of those questions answered. And beyond that, we do have a customer service email, a customer service phone line, but the email will be the fastest way to go. We don't have 24-hour around the clock customer service, unfortunately, but we will have people standing by to take care of you, particularly in the hours of 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. So that's valuable information as well. We also have office hours with our membership manager, Christopher Pollard. That's a lot of fun. Christopher is a fun and interesting guy. We like to call him our mascot. If you've been to the Oriental Theater, you've seen the big guy with the beard and the glasses up on slides or introducing programs. He always does our member screenings. So he's going to be handling office hours as well. So all of this is to say we're doing our best to fulfill our mission. We're excited about this opportunity. If you look around town right now, when all these venues are forced to push their seasons off another year, we're lucky that we're able to bring content to everybody. And as our board chair said, with all the crazy that's going on in the world right now, all we want to do is just sometimes unplug and take our minds off and watch a movie. And if we can't do it at the Oriental Theater, we might as well at least be able to do it at home. So finally, I wanted to talk about Rotary sponsorship of We Don't Deserve Dogs. I regret to inform you that there is no trailer on this, but I will tell you that I watched the film last night, and as a dog lover, I think it's fantastic. This talks about people's relationships with dogs. And as this slide says, a former child soldier in Uganda, to a local pub in a Scottish town, to a dog walker on the streets of Istanbul. It's just a fascinating portrait of how dogs impact our lives. And I think there's also an underlying message about how we treat our animals. There's a part where the dogs are dressed up like people and they're having this party, and it's a little weird, to be completely honest with you. So it's a fun film. It's light. It's easy, and I don't know about you, but I could use light and easy at this time of year. So it's a really neat film. I highly encourage you to go ahead and watch that. Passes are on sale now through the start of the festival. I mentioned member pricing was $75. For non-members, it's $140. Once the festival begins, then the non-member prices will go up to $160. So if you are not a Milwaukee Film member, I highly recommend it. And I can help you out with that directly as well if you want help with that. That is really the quick look at what's happening with Milwaukee Film and with Milwaukee Film Festival this year. I see we've only gone about 20 minutes. I thought it'd go a little bit longer, but I could dance or something if anybody wants me to. Otherwise, we could open it up to questions. I'm happy to take any.
Yeah. So it looks like we've got a small enough group here. If you would like to ask a question, feel free to unmute yourself.
I have a question. Like for Rotary, one of the things that we learned early on is that we will always have a virtual option going forward. What do you think this is going to mean for how you're going to deliver films, post-pandemic?
Yeah, so there's a couple of, that's a very good question. And there are a couple of things in terms of film delivery. Number one, the virtual option will be continuing for quite a while. We do see how much that really does allow us to expand our audiences. And even when we get a vaccine, there are people who are not going to rush immediately from getting their shot into the theater. I mean, it's going to take a while for people to build up that confidence to get back into normal life. What we're hearing about is something called duplexing. And distributors are already preparing for this, where they are actually showing things on the screen in the theater, and they were also allowing it to be streamed through those channels, like I talked about, like Sofa Cinema, for example, into people's homes. So we will continue that as well. One of the tricky things right now for theaters is that there's going to be a significant shortage of content available, even when it is safe to reopen. A lot of the studios have been pushing back their production. And so, you know, if tomorrow we had the opportunity to open our doors, we wouldn't have much to show. So we really have to consider all these different things before we reopen. We won't reopen just to reopen. We won't reopen if we're going to lose a bunch of money because people aren't comfortable coming in and we don't feel safe, but also because the content isn't there. And that's problematic, obviously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Steve.
Sebastian, non-members, $140, members, $75. How much does it cost to be a member again? I apologize for not knowing that.
Very good question, President Steve. If you go to nkefilm.org/members, there are 8 different pricing tiers, starting as low as $75 a year and all the way up into the thousands. But basically what we're trying to do is for the price of membership, it's the price of a pass, essentially, a price of an all access pass. So it's in that same range. You will definitely, it will definitely be worth your while. Individual ticket sales, by the way, are $5 for members and $8 for non-members. So if you just wanted to buy and buy and buy and buy, you can see if you paid for 5 films, it would almost be, you know, as a non-member, that's almost half of the price of a pass anyway. So thank you very much.
So have you monitored to see how many people have signed up virtually? I mean, are there just a lot signing up where you feel, wow, this is working? Yeah,
so as an example, for the Minority Health Film Festival, we sold over 500 passes. We were hoping if we were lucky, we would sell 250, and we more than doubled that. With the Milwaukee Film Festival, we've already sold over 500 passes, and we're still a week out. What we've seen around the country from venues like ours that have pivoted to virtual is that ticket sales and pass sales are generally slow until the week prior, because there's not that urgent need to like get out and get it. Supplies aren't as limited, right? When you're sitting on your own couch and you're thinking about what you're doing now and what you're doing later, and then all of a sudden it's like the week of the festival, it's like, oh, the festival's here. I gotta buy my tickets. So next week we really expect to see a spike, but right now we're really thrilled with the sales that have been happening thus far.
And so in terms of your staff and putting together this virtual festival, how has it taken your staff time to put it together related to putting together an in-person festival?
The tricky part, obviously, is that we have a reduced staff, a significantly reduced staff. We obviously don't have the mechanics of thinking about all the in-person events and everything else that we used to throw. So in that sense, it's a little bit easier. But at the same time, we were having to figure out all these different virtual platforms as we worked. So we were sort of building the car as we were driving it. And that was extremely challenging. For the Minority Health Film Festival, we launched on our new virtual platform that day. And so we didn't have a chance to test it and get all the kinks out and get the FAQs taken care of. With that festival under our belts, we understand what some of the questions were from people in terms of the user experience and things like that. So we've been able to make adjustments for this festival. But it's challenging. It's been a lot of work. And you know, to Mary's point, I think getting all this out of the way now gives us the path to be a much smoother virtual operation as we go into next year, because we're expecting to have to be doing this for a while longer, many months to be sure.
And have you been able to work in like sponsorships or commercials or sources of revenue in this regard?
We have. One of the amazing things is that we sort of planned for a worst case scenario for our contributed revenue number. And we've been thrilled that we've gotten much more support than we expected. I'll be completely honest with you. You know, one of the things that has surprised us since we started modeling our numbers is that the stock market has stayed relatively stable, which has given particularly corporate partners and individuals more confidence to invest in what we're doing, particularly in terms of the Minority Health Film Festival, when these issues of equity, diversity, and inclusion have really come to the forefront, and corporations are realizing that they haven't been doing enough, they haven't been investing in the work. There's already something that's packaged and ready to go with an organization that knows this work. That's been important for us. We have lost some corporate support, as you could imagine, with folks downsizing their staffs and things like that. But we've been pleasantly surprised with the amount of revenue that we've been able to bring in. And we have a model that carries us through 2021 that we're feeling like we're in a pretty stable position at this point.
You know, with the in-person festival, there was the opportunity to really celebrate and feature particular films that really got a lot of energy behind them. Will you be doing that virtually, or like opening night film, or, you know, I mean, we are doing opening night film. There's actually a film called I Used to Go Here, and I could read you the description out of the program book. I haven't seen it yet. I've seen the trailer. It looks great. Features a couple of Gillian Jacobs and Jermaine Clement, who are well-known personalities. We do have a centerpiece film as well called Coming Clean, which is about the opioid epidemic in this country. We won't be able to do the same sort of pomp and circumstance this year. Right. It's just not feasible. Right. But we will be featuring those folks in our nightly talk show at 8 p.m., the Nightcap. So as many opportunities as we have to bring those folks forward, we will be doing that for sure. There's also going to be a happy hour that we just scheduled on Wednesday, the third Wednesday in October. I think it's the 21st. There will be a happy hour at 4:30 that's hosted by some of our development committee members. It's another way to try to create community virtually that we're doing. And then Christopher's office hours. So if you love Christopher, you can so we're trying to do as many of those things as possible to keep people engaged. Our CEO will also be doing sort of an invite-only film club kind of thing for some of our major donors as well. So continuously trying to push that sense of community that we would otherwise have in person. Jenny Stefanich has a question here in chat. My Black Lens Milwaukee Film membership is one of the best local investments I have made. Oh, not a question, just a really strong.
That's amazing to hear. Thank you so much. I love that.
That's terrific.
If anybody else wants to put amazing chats like that in, I could just read them out to you.
Oh, that's right. That's good.
Great to hear.
No, we do love Milwaukee film.
Thank you so much.
Any more questions for Sebastian while we have him here? I actually have just a little technical question, which is, you mentioned Apple TV. For the Milwaukee Film Festival, we couldn't download the app through Apple, and we were told it was because we had like Apple 5 instead of Apple 6. Has that been changed, or is that still?
The requirements are on our mkefilm.org/howtofest or festival quiz. There are, if you have an old generation item like that, you may have trouble. If you have slow internet, we can't help you. There are things that we will not be able to solve. The number one thing in the virtual world seems to be, have you emptied your cache or tried a different browser? We get that
That's
all the
right.
time. So yeah, like I said, most of the things
Okay.
I think are probably solvable. But if you have old equipment or slow internet, those are going to be problems that we can't.
Well, we got it through Roku, so that worked. But
There you go.
There you go. So it worked.
Yeah, we have like a first generation Apple TV in one of our rooms, and that thing, I don't even know how it works anymore.
Sebastian, I just want to say I've been trying to get my mom to come from New York for the film festival for like 5 years now. So I'm excited because this is finally going to be my like opportunity to sell it to her. Is it, I will, I'm sure, easily find a way to send her a, like, what I can give her a gift pass, or how would that work?
Yes, to send people a pass, basically all you need to do is purchase the pass and include her email address, because we need a specific unique email address in order to send them digital passes. Those will be going out at the early part of next week, along with instructions on how to log in.
Super.
Yep.
Now that you're virtual, are you doing a lot more national marketing, and have you seen an increase in subscriptions nationally?
We haven't actually done national marketing based on the fact that our budgets have been cut significantly, but we are seeing just specifically through word of mouth, and like Lilith just mentioned, the fact that we're able to now quote unquote broadcast from coast to coast, we are seeing an uptick in viewers from other geographic regions. A lot of people in Chicago, which maybe that's former Wisconsinites who haven't made the wise decision to move home yet. But yeah, definitely around the country, we had lots of folks from California who tuned in for the Minority Health Film Festival as well. So we are seeing more for sure.
Well, thank you. And I'm going to go make sure I buy my pass before I forget. So.
That's a good plan, Mary. And
All right,
Me too. That's what I'm doing next. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
And if anybody has questions and you want to reach out to me directly, I'm Sebastian at mkefilm.org.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all very much. This was a lot of fun.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.